We're continuing to track our two tropical systems right now. Of course, we've got the one over towards Puerto Rico, that is Tropical Storm Laura, and then we have the one off the Yucatan Peninsula, which is Tropical Storm Marco. At one point, we thought Marco would be the one affecting southeast Texas, and we didn't think we'd have to deal with Laura, but now, just since the last really 24 hours or so, we might be affected by both of these storm systems as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So it's ever-changing forecast, and I think we're going to see a lot more changes as we head through tomorrow and Monday before these storms get a little bit closer. So it's very important that you keep updated with as much information as you can over the next few days. Like I said, I'm thinking these tracks are going to be continuing to change, fluctuating from one way to the other as we go through Tuesday or Sunday into Monday. All right, let's take a real quick look at what's going on across the area right now, and you can see this, of course, is Laura, bringing some heavy rains to Puerto Rico right now. Winds with this right around about 50 miles per hour, and then we'll travel through the Caribbean over here, and this is Marco. It is really starting to strengthen. Winds have jumped from 50 miles an hour at the earlier update. Now the winds are at about 65 miles per hour. So it is climbing fairly quickly in wind strength. If you remember just yesterday, we were thinking that this was going to move over the Yucatan and weaken somewhat, but it's not. It's going right through this little strait here between Cuba and the Yucatan and continues to be out over that warm water. So that's why it's really kind of strengthened this morning, as it's still feeding off that warm water and not over the Yucatan. So even that has changed since yesterday. Like I said, I think this is going to be a pretty ever-changing forecast here over the next few days. All right, here's Tropical Storm Marco. Current statistics from the National Hurricane Center: winds are at 65. It is moving to the north-northwest at about 12 miles per hour. Like I said, it's right in between Cuba and the Yucatan. They're expecting to be a hurricane later on today or going into towards tonight. The latest track takes it up into the northern part of the Gulf of Mexico as a hurricane. Winds up to 80 miles an hour. That's the highest they show on the graphic here. And then right before it gets to southeast Texas as a tropical storm, they do expect it to weaken once it gets into the northern Gulf because of a lot of wind shear it's going to be running into. But right off the coast of southeast Texas, it's supposed to make a curve, just miss us, go south of Houston and then into Texas. And once it gets into Texas, it's continuing to move off towards the west. It's not going to stick around. But that is not a lot of real estate there between that curve and southeast Texas. Once again, I'm expecting this track to change quite a bit over the next couple of days, whether it's going to drop it farther to the south, maybe straighten it out and go farther towards maybe central Texas coast, or maybe even try to bend it back a little bit farther to the north. We're going to have to wait and see. But this is the current track from the National Hurricane Center. This is where we're going with as of 10 o'clock this morning. Once again, you see a tropical storm curving just off the coast of southeast Texas and then coming into parts of central Texas as we head towards Wednesday of next week. We are definitely in the cone of uncertainty here in southeast Texas. We're on the north side of this, so if it would take this track, if this track would hold true, say Tuesday, because that's when it's going to be off the coast, we would get some storm surge. Of course, we get a lot of rain, and we would also get some windy conditions here in southeast Texas. It really kind of depends on how much the storm develops. If tropical storm force winds are out 100 miles from the center, definitely going to get some winds here. If they're only out 20, 30 miles an hour from the center, we might not get those wind gusts up to tropical storm force. We'll have to wait and see which track it takes, like I said, and how big the storm becomes. 24 hours ago, this track was not even, you weren't even considering this. It looked like it was going to come straight into southeast Texas. So things are changing quite a bit, almost every update. So just kind of keep an eye on things and keep tuned here, because we'll keep updated on as the track ever changes. Okay, let's switch over now and take a look at Laura. This is the track on Laura, expected to go over Puerto Rico today and then over the Dominican Republic, Haiti, as we get into early on Sunday, and then over Cuba as we go through Sunday into Monday, and then out into the Gulf of Mexico. They are expecting it to become a hurricane with winds up to 85 miles per hour right before it starts to make landfall, possibly over parts of south central Louisiana as we get into, it looks like Wednesday into Thursday. So if you're looking at this right, excuse me, Marco will come in Tuesday and make that turn towards Houston, and then right behind that, Laura will come in Wednesday into Thursday and make that turn up into south central Louisiana. And once again, southeast Texas here, we're the lucky ones, are right there in the cone of uncertainty as we head into Wednesday into Thursday. So if they follow right behind each other, we're going to get some rain, looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, with this particular storm, Laura, if it comes in just like this, we're going to be on the west side of it. So not as much rain as Marco will bring, not as much wind, and we won't get any storm surge because we'll be kind of on the west side, kind of the back side of it, I guess you can say. We'll get a little bit more of a northerly wind, not a southerly wind. So once again, by tomorrow, this track could be shoved all the way over into Texas, or it might retreat back up into parts of Mississippi. We're just going to have to wait and see. And here's the problem is National Hurricane Center likes to look at these ensemble models and looks at the general trend or the consensus. Here's the consensus models or the ensemble forecast for Marco. It's all over the place. You might see a little consensus here and there, but there's not just a one clear-cut track that it's showing. I mean, there is a cluster of some models over here, cluster of some models kind of going that way, and there's even a cluster of some models going that way. So it is really all over the place. And so when you get something like that, you're going to see the official forecast track kind of jumping around because they're trying to figure out, okay, man, which model you go with, because they're everywhere. So it's kind of interesting to see. Usually when you start to see things develop like this, you get a little bit more of a consensus, but right now that's all over the place. Let's jump to the models as we look at Laura. Looks pretty good going through Cuba, but once it gets past Cuba into the Gulf of Mexico, once again, you've got different models doing different things, and it's kind of all over the place. You've got this is what they're kind of going with, this cluster right here as far as the current forecast track, but you also got another cluster taking it all the way over into almost South Texas, and then you got another cluster of some models wanting to take it back towards Mississippi. So once again, that's why this forecast track, I think, is going to be continuing to change. It could flip from one part to the other. Really not clear cut on what's going to be happening. There's a big ridge of high pressure out here, Bermuda High, and it's trying to push these storms towards the west. And depending on exactly how that interacts with these storms is whether they're going to be a little bit more east, a little bit more west. So I think the computer model's not doing a great job of trying to figure out that Bermuda High. So they got things going all over the place. So we'll continue to watch it. Like I said, I'm expecting to see things start to move back and forth. I don't think these forecast tracks are definitely not set in stone as we go through the next couple of days. I think they're going to be changing quite a bit. Okay, let's take a look at some individual computer models. This is the GFS model, which we look at, American model, not the most accurate model. If we look at this one, you can see, all right, here is Marco, and then here is Laura. The way the American model does it, it brings right. This is one run of the model, so this is not like the ensemble where you get several runs. This is one run of the model, and right now the latest run takes. You can see Marco just south of Houston, and then it brings. Interesting, it brings Laura south of Houston as well. It way farther south than the official track is right now, but you can see, once again, we'll go all the way back. Look at the Yucatan. There comes Marco up, makes that turn, goes south of Houston, and then right behind it comes Laura, which the computer model has it going south of Houston as well. So that's kind of interesting to see. All right, let's switch over to the European model, which if you've ever watched Patrick, you know he loves the European model and he thinks it's the most accurate. And a lot of meteorologists do think it's the most accurate model. Okay, we'll go back and we'll kind of start this from the beginning. Once again, you can see Marco right off the Yucatan, and then you look back towards the islands there in the Caribbean, Hispaniola. You're looking at Laura. So here we go. We'll put this into motion. And you can see Marco doing pretty much what the Hurricane Center is thinking it's going to do, kind of skirt the coast, Louisiana, southeast Texas, and then go in south of Houston. Okay, I've been told that the audio is not the best, so I need to slow down my talking. So I will slow down my talking. But you can see that Marco comes in south of Houston, and then here comes Laura, and it's coming in over southwest Louisiana and then tracking northward. So it's a little bit different solution. I think the Hurricane Center's definitely leaning a little bit more towards a European model right now as far as the solutions. So these are just one run of each model. So once again, these are just interesting things to look at. I would not be saying, oh, this is what's going to happen. These are just one run. Once again, yesterday at this time, these models were showing something completely different. But this is just what they're currently thinking. And I think at least the European model is what the Hurricane Center is kind of looking at, saying, yeah, this looks about right. This is kind of what we're doing right now. So kind of like take it for what it's worth as you look at those models. Now, how much rain are we going to get? Well, really, it's really up in the air. You can't really tell at this point. Since these computer models are all over the place, since that you're looking at these tracks changing really every couple of hours almost, you really can't say, hey, we're going to get this amount and this amount. You really need to know exactly where these storms are going to go. Here's an estimated rainfall total over the next 7 days. And as you can look at this, the scale up at the top there, right now we're looking at maybe 5 inches along the coast or south of I-10, 4 or 5 inches. And then as you get up into the lakes area, looking at maybe 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. Now, of course, like I said, that could be anywhere from 1 to 5 inches in the lakes, maybe up to 10 to 15 inches into the triangle here, depending on exactly how these storms track across the area. So really just kind of take that for what it's worth. That's what they're just showing right now, but I don't think we're going to know any decent idea of exactly what we're looking at as far as rainfall until we get these tracks nailed down a little bit better, and that's probably not going to be until late tomorrow or as we get into Monday. All right, let's take a look real quick here one more time at the tracks. I'm going to go over these real quick because a lot of people just have been joining us here lately. Looks like we got over 1,000 people, so that's great. Once again, here is the latest, and we're going to be looking first at Marco. Right now, winds are at 65. Last update, they were at 50. So we've jumped up 15 miles per hour. They're thinking this is going to be a hurricane maybe late today into tomorrow. Winds is moving to the north-northwest at about 12. As we go through time here, they are looking at a hurricane in the central Gulf as we go towards Sunday into Monday. And then as we get into Monday night, it starts to make that curve right along the coast. And then it moves into parts of Texas as we head towards late Sunday night or early on Wednesday as a tropical storm. That's what they're thinking with Marco right now. Missing southeast Texas as far as the direct hit, but we'll be so close we're going to be getting wind, rain, and definitely some storm surge if it comes this close, if this track would stay true. All right, and once again, let's switch over and take a look at Laura. Laura, winds are at 40 miles an hour. It's basically interacting with Puerto Rico right now, and it's moving to the west at about 18. It still has to go over the island there, Hispaniola, and we've got huge mountain range right there in the middle of that island. So it's going to be interesting to see how it interacts with the mountain range there, and then as it goes over Cuba, how it's going to interact with that, and then eventually emerge out into the Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to have to see how it does over the next few days, and then once it gets out to the Gulf of Mexico, we'll see exactly how strong it is, if it's been torn apart or what's going on there. But as we look at the track, it takes it up towards parts of south central Louisiana as we head towards, looks like late Wednesday into early on Thursday. Once again, we're going to be on the west side, but we're still in the cone of uncertainty on Laura. So there's the potential there to get Marco to come through on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we get Laura to come in right behind it on Wednesday, Thursday. Will they both go over southeast Texas, make a direct hit one after the other? I just don't see that happening, but they're going to be close. It's going to be interesting to see as we go through the next 4 or 5 days here. We're going to be kind of continuing to watch it. Anyway, that is the tropical update. This is the 10 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Patrick's going to be here later on this evening. He will be updating you, doing some live web forecast as well and letting you know what's going on. Of course, he'll be on television tonight at 6 and 10 o'clock. We'll continue to track it. We'll keep you updated. Like I said, I think these tracks are going to be changing quite a bit as we go through the next couple of days, as the computer models and also the National Hurricane Center are trying to figure out where these two storms are going to go. Appreciate everybody joining me. Have a great and safe Saturday, everyone. We'll talk to you later.